Bam. There we go. And we are connecting. I like that. I like that. All right. What's good, people? What's good? We're going to start in about 90 seconds, maybe 2 minutes tops. I got the 3-minute mark right now, so we'll probably get things popping by about the 6-minute mark, maybe a little less than that. So if you want to go grab yourself a refreshing drink, go ahead. You can do it real quick. Want to let the dog out? Do your thing real quick. You can do it. Go ahead. All right. We got a nice show set up for you guys here. I'd have started this a little sooner, but I got a call from the wifey, and somebody was kind of giving her a hard time at work, so she had wanted to call me to, basically she needed a babysitter until she got to her car, because, yeah, kind of one of those type of deals. The crazies, man. That's what you deal with. That's what you deal with sometimes. The crazies. All right, let's see how we want to tag this bad boy. You know what? I'm actually going to go ahead and I'm going to do this too. And yeah, that'll work for me. And then let's swap in. Yep, we got our image. That's great. That's great. All right, doing some last minute tagging here. Hey, again, if you guys are just tuning in, we're going to be starting at about the 6-minute mark. So if you guys want to grab yourself a quick drink, you can do so right now, because I know Dynamite just went off literally a couple of minutes ago. So if you want to stretch out real quick, go ahead, go for it. Let's see. And by the time you come back, we pretty much are going to be rocking and rolling here. Let's see here. And just want to finish tagging this. And we'll just do this real quick here. Wow. No. I don't know about all that. Okay. All right, we got the 6-minute mark right now. All right, so we pretty much are ready to go here. One little thing I want to do here. Okay. Okay, everybody feeling good? Everybody ready? Because we pretty much ready to start. I just got to pretty much turn on my recorder here. And then while that's going, discard that. Yes. Okay. All right, so we are good to go. All right, guys, we're going to start now. Countdown. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. What's good, everybody? Checking out a new RCWR show for Wednesday night, September 8th, 2021. Hump day here. How you guys been, man? Hey, shout out to my football fans. Big day is tomorrow. It's tomorrow, man, Thursday night. But, you know, we really ain't got nothing to be excited about. Let's perfectly be honest. I mean, look, if you're a Tom Brady fan, if you're a Bucs fan, you're excited. But if you're a Cowboys fan, you're just kind of looking at this just going, yeah, well, the actual season for the Cowboys, it doesn't start this Thursday, because that's a automatic ass whooping that they're going to be receiving this Thursday. So you're already looking past this Thursday game. I mean, unless something weird happens, and look, knock on wood, nobody gets injured, right? Nobody gets injured. But unless something weird happens where, I don't know, the fucking Bucks ate at a restaurant the night before and they all get sick, and basically you got like the freaking third string that's stepping in as starters, unless some crazy ass crap goes down like that. Yeah, that's pretty much going to be an onslaught there for the Dallas Cowboys. But yeah, I'm already looking past that game. For me, I'm going right into Sunday. I'm going right into Sunday and Monday. I don't know how you guys are doing it, but that's how I'm definitely doing it. Loaded show we got for you guys tonight, man. Once again, because I know we made our initial return on Tuesday's RCWR show. We actually were talking about NWA Power Fallout. We did not do a Monday show because of the Labor Day holiday. So I had decided, and not for nothing, but ever since my wedding / honeymoon back in June, if you notice, pretty much nonstop, I've pretty much been giving you guys multiple shows a week, live and on demand on the downloads. So I kind of felt just a little bit burned out. So that's kind of one of the main reasons why I went on ahead, especially since it was a major holiday anyway. And I had decided just rest up on Monday, come back on Wednesday and everything for you guys. So the rest did me good, actually. They'll definitely hold me now until October, because October, me and the wifey are going to pick up right where we left off with our honeymoon. And as a companion piece to our honeymoon, we're doing the whole Jericho cruise. As I've said to you guys, it's already been paid for. We knocked it out. We're ready to go. If anything, now we just got to figure out where are we going to begin the journey to. I want to do Reagan National to exit out of DC, but she's saying no, that's way, way expensive. It's cheaper to actually fly out from Baltimore. I'm going, really? So we're trying to figure out little logistics like that. I've never flown on a plane before, so I already know I'm going to be pretty amped up. I'm going to be pretty wired up, so I'm trying to touch base with my doctor in the next couple of weeks to see if he can maybe give me just a couple of days worth of Xanax to kind of help me mellow out just a little bit and everything. But so I should be good as far as that little break goes. But I'm definitely excited for that Jericho cruise that's going to be coming up. My colleagues have told me that have actually been on the Jericho cruise. I've also heard from fellow wrestling fans, that personally reached out and said, you're going to have a great time. That cruise is awesome. You're going to love it. So I'm looking forward to it. Nice, good R&R, man. Nice, good R&R. Loaded up show we got for you tonight. Definitely going to be talking about Dynamite. We also are going to be talking just a little bit about NXT. We're going all over the place on this episode. It's a nice loaded up show. Before we go any further, though, on a wrestling related tip, I definitely want to send a heartfelt, speedy recovery to the game, Triple H, Mr. Paul Levesque. It kind of really took us all by surprise the way the news had creeped up on us this week. But apparently there was some surgery done, and you hear that, you're going, oh, okay, great. But no, apparently there was some type of heart surgery that was done on Triple H, and you're just going, what the hell is going on here? And I like how we have individuals that are trying to sensationalize the hell out of what all's been going on with Triple H there and everything. But, my biggest piece of advice to you guys is to be very, very leery of what's being reported out there. And honestly, just at this point, the official report that's been put out there basically by WWE, just go with that. And until Triple H, and Triple H, Vince McMahon stuff, they'll open up more in the coming days, in the coming weeks, where any type of, rumors, speculation that's in the air, they're pretty much in their own respective ways are going to go about bursting that bubble. But I can't stress it enough. We definitely don't need to pry too much into. It's like, for God's sake, the man was opened up. Let's let the man have a full recovery and everything, and pretty much go from there. But yeah, he had apparently undergone a heart procedure after what's being described as a cardiac event. So when you hear cardiac event, the very first thing that comes into your mind is, sadly, and it's okay, but the very first thing that comes into your mind is, oh man, he had a heart attack. What the hell? And it's kind of like, I wouldn't be so quick as to go in that respected area. I mean, it could have been some form of It could have been some form of a stroke. It also could have been some form of, maybe minor heart failure. It could have been a case where, maybe there was a couple of bad arteries, and they had to go in and do a couple of things. Look, I'm no brain surgeon, and I definitely don't play one on TV, and I don't have no PhD in it and all of that other shit. But, when you hear something like that, I know a lot of people want to just jump right into, oh, he had open heart surgery because, he had a fucking heart attack. And it can mean so many things as far as having a cardiac event. Um, the type of surgery that he had, I mean, we're talking about something that no doubt is definitely going to affect him physically as far as regaining his strength and everything. It can range anywhere from being low on oxygen, dealing with some type of pain, severe discomfort. So we got to really be careful how we're throwing around certain terms when it comes to the health of Triple H. We really, really need to be careful here. Let's just look at it for what it's worth. There was some type of a cardiac event that went down, and that's it. It's plain and simple. But WWE, they did put out a statement noting that he underwent a successful procedure. Again, a successful procedure. Now, I think that's really important that we home in on procedure, because there's a big difference. If this was a case where, oh man, he had some type of open heart surgery because he suffered a heart attack or blah, 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 some stuff like that. I think the phrasing in which WWE, and I don't believe they're downplaying this whatsoever. I do not believe they're downplaying this whatsoever. And look, let's really connect the dots. I know most people don't pay attention to what WWE puts out there on social media outside of the wrestling programming, especially when it's non-wrestling related. Most people don't care for the non-wrestling related stuff. But Triple H, not for nothing, he did do an interview very, very recently with FS1's Colin Cowherd. And he must have spoke for about at least 45 minutes, something along those lines. And one of the questions that was touched upon was when, if ever, we would see him back in the ring again. Recommend you go out of your way and check out the interview. It's actually pretty good, especially if you're a fan of Triple H. And it's kind of rare sometimes that he'll do the interviews, especially the interviews where it's not just one of those fluff type of interviews. It's pretty wide ranging and he's pretty candid. And I felt that for the little bit that I saw of the interview, I felt that there were some really cool candid points that was in there. One of the points that was touched upon, again, his in-ring return. And he was brutally honest about it. In a nutshell, he said, look, if it's something that honestly the fans really, really want, if they are adamant and they're very vocal about it, that's definitely something I would strongly consider. But he also said, to the flip side to that, he personally would have to find at this point, because he's pretty much done it all, it has to most definitely be very intriguing to him in order to lace up the boots. And he talked about how for him to get ready for a match, especially now that he's getting up there in age, he talked about how he's got to do twice the work, 3 times the work, just to get himself in that right, physical and mental state of mind and all that. So check it out. It was a really good interview and all that. But I bring up that interview to make up this point, which is that interview, I don't even think that interview was 3 weeks old. That interview was not even 3 weeks old. And you wouldn't even tell just by looking at that he looks kind of just look like you normally whenever you see him and everything. So I honestly believe that, look, this is no different. I'll give you a perfect example. And this happened to me many, many years ago. You guys will actually get a laugh out of this story. So when I was in my late teens, I want to say somewhere around maybe 17, 18, or 19. Okay. I remember, I'm just gonna throw it out there. You guys are gonna like this. It's a funny ass story, but there's some seriousness to it, and it links back to Triple H and everything. Okay, so I remember I was doing some work as a part-time volunteer at a group home, and I remember there was one girl that actually was staying at the group home that I really, really liked. I really liked. Yeah, she was actually. Now that I'm thinking about it, she was my age, except she had me beat by about maybe 8 months or something like that. And we flirted with each other and everything. And, she kept waiting for me to make the move, like ask her out on the date or whatever, but I could never work up the nerve and all that, right? So, I'm still kind of new when it comes to dating and sex and all of this other stuff and everything. So, this one time, and I used to have nice long, pretty hair that would go down to my shoulders and everything. And so one thing that the girls used to love taking turns doing to me whenever they saw me, again, I was only there part-time, and usually I would help out on the weekend. So I would usually come in, I would help out on a Friday, Saturday, half a day on Sunday, and, I'm pretty much done for the rest of that whole week or whatever. But everybody, even the fellas, they love fucking with me because they knew I was pretty laid back. They knew they was going to have a good time. My whole thing was, look, we all going to be good. Everything going to be cool. Just don't do no stupid shit. So we pretty much had it laid back. But every time I used to show up, the girls used to love braiding my hair. So they would just, they'd be like, what you want to do this week, right? And she was one of the main ones, the girl that I was interested in. She was one of the main ones that used to love braiding my hair and all of that. And I tell you, no greatest feeling in the world. And anybody, any fellas out there that loves getting their hair braided, they'll tell you, ain't no better feeling in the world than when you're in between a woman's legs and you just got that head back and you just getting that hair braided. No better feeling in the world than that, right? So this one time, I'm just right there in between her legs. And usually she's the one that's hooking my hair up. I got serious freaking blue balls. I didn't know it at the time. That's what it was called. But my balls was hurting big time. Big time. Told you guys you're going to find this hilarious. So, and it's kind of obvious that I'm feeling some type of discomfort because as she's hooking my hair up, I keep crossing my legs and all that. And she's like, are you okay? I'm like, yeah. She's like, are you sure? She's like, and I'm like, yeah, I'm okay. You sure? You don't need me to do anything extra for you? Yeah, I'm like, nah, just, do my thing with my hair. I'm good. Cornrows we talked about, that's good. You don't need anything else. I didn't realize it back then, but what she was really saying was, yo, sister can help you, right? I didn't realize that at the time. So anyway, this is where the story gets really fucking hilarious. So after she gets done hooking my hair up, I am just now walking around gingerly. And everybody's kind of wondering what's going on. It wasn't one of those walking like an old man. I literally was walking with a limp and I was kind of cursing under my breath and all that other shit. And after about maybe 2.5, 3 hours, homegirl, she comes up and she's like, what is going on with you? Are you all right? You haven't been quite the same since I braided your hair. What's going on? And I told her exactly what was going on. I said, look, I'm feeling some type of discomfort, down below. And she's like, where down below? I'm like, it's, around my balls. And she's like, okay, you're not being funny, are you? You're not trying to be sexual, are you? Like you're being serious? I'm like, yeah, I'm being dead serious. Like my balls really, really hurt. And she's like, well, maybe you just need to let something out. She's like, you want me to? I'm like, no. It's like, it doesn't feel quite like that. It feels like I need to go to the hospital. And she's like, shit. She's like, okay, well, let's fucking get you to the hospital then. So we call non-emergency. They load my ass up on an ambulance, okay? So we go to the ambulance and all that. Takes about a minute. I finally see a doctor. And the doctor's like, okay, so what's going on? Why are you here? You know, how old are you anyway? Like, you look pretty young. You shouldn't be here. What's going on? So I tell the doctor, it's a male doctor. I tell him what's going on. And I'll never forget this doctor. You know, he says to me, sounds just like this, okay? I'm not mocking people with accents, but this is just literally how he sounded. Let me ask you something, Mr. Sanders. Have you ever, I apologize to people that's only gonna be listening to the audio version, but he does the hand gesture. He's like, do you do that to release? You release? It feels very good. Do you do that, Mr. Sanders? And I go, no, I don't. I honestly don't know how to do that. I've never done that before. He's like, oh, it's like, yeah, you just, and it feels very good and you get good release. And he says to me, try that. Otherwise, he felt that I was going to have to get what he described as a standard procedure. Okay, this links back to Triple H. You kind of see what I'm talking about here. Again, that terminology that was used in that press release. We're talking about procedure versus, this person had to go get emergency surgery and all this, right? So be careful how the wrestling websites are trying to sensationalize what's going on with Triple H here. So the doctor tells me, he says, okay, if that release doesn't work for you, he's like, and he told me straight up, he's like, I want you to do that, a couple of times this week and see if that'll help. Because he told me, he said, look, he said, they are rather, I can see there is some type of tension that's going on. They're pretty large. He asked me, he's like, are they normally this large? I'm like, no, they're not. He's like, okay, there's some type of tension here that's going on. So you need to, try to see what happens when you release. If you don't release, he's like, based off, what I'm feeling here, your cords are rather long. Your cords, that's pretty much your cords that's attached to your nuts, right? He was like, your cords are rather long. He's like, and my biggest concern is that you may have so much cord that they could easily get tangled up. And by getting tangled up, sometimes they will untangle themselves. But with you having so much looseness there in your cords, your shit might tie up and then they may never untie themselves and you can end up having, right? I mean, that's detrimental. Okay. We're talking circulation, a whole bunch of other shit. So he says to me, there is a procedure that they can do to take care of that, but to try what he recommended first. Right. So hopefully you guys enjoyed that hilarious story. Again, this is an oldie story I've never told that story out in the open before. So hopefully you guys enjoy it. So we're talking about a story from, my God, 30 years ago, basically. Yeah. Good times there. It really was hilarious times, especially afterwards. Having to go back and the next time around and everybody's asking me, how's your balls, man? Like, yeah, good times. So you hear this stuff with Triple H and you see this stuff about procedure, that basically he had a successful procedure, like nothing about emergency or no shit like that. So really just take it for what WWE is putting out there. But yeah, the statement saying he had a successful procedure last week at Yale New Haven Hospital after he experienced a cardiac event. The event was caused by a genetic heart issue. And per the announcement, he's expected to make a full recovery. Okay. So, I mean, that's another thing that you got to look at too. Some people, they have a little bit of a genetic issue that's going on with their heart. You look at what's been going on recently there with our boy, we've been seeing him loosely here and there, but Keith Lee, on top of dealing with COVID, he also was dealing with a form of inflammation and a bit of a genetic heart issue. And That's why I know a lot of people get upset with what they're seeing of Keith Lee. Oh, he's doing this over here on Main Event. Oh, he's doing this over here. That's just WWE slowly just trying to bring him back into the groove of things. I feel give it time, give it about maybe another month or two, and we'll see him back on a more regular basis and everything. But I'm more concerned about the quality rather than the quantity. That's good. We get him back, but we could have him in however many matches each week on Raw or SmackDown programming. The quality wise, what's really going down with our boy? That's what we really should be focusing on. So, I liked seeing that the majority of the wrestling community were sending nothing but positive vibes towards Triple H. Of course, you had some people that wanted to look at this as an opportunity to knock Triple H, believe it or not. Yeah, that ugly side of social media that I've been talking about for years now, where you have some people that want to try to say, oh, well, what do you suspect for all the years of steroid abuse that the guy was doing to his body? Yeah, you just knew sooner or later the shit was going to catch up to him. Let's be honest, we got to go there, right? That's the Show Creed model, keeping it honest, insightful, and interactive since 2011, right? Yeah, there's no doubt about it that Triple H, yeah, okay. So, but, just to see that kind of venom that's running around from some fans that just have to feel as though they've got to put their 2 cents in, and they've got to just, I wish we could just make it be so simple and just, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all, okay? But yeah, and I would say out of everything that I've seen today in regards to Triple H since that news had came about, not for nothing, but from what I mainly had gathered up, it was about 90% positive vibes, even from those that maybe did not like the Triple H show back in the day and everything. You know what I mean by the Triple H show, when he pretty much was dominating, or as you all like to say, that fucking shovel, that golden shovel, just burying all of your favorites. Even those that hated his guts back in the day were wishing him nothing but a speedy recovery and everything. Because, that's that type of shit, that's no joke. That's no joke. And the fact that, here's the most important thing, and we'll move along. Here's the most important thing in regards to stuff like this. And I know for young people, this is really going to fall on deaf ears, because for young people, they feel that they are invincible, me against the world, man, can't nothing happen to me. And you see how some of the young folks have been operating with this pandemic. It's a prime example. But if there's one piece of advice I want to give to anybody out there that's listening, regardless of your age, listen to your body. Listen to your body. I can remember being in my late teens, in my 20s, and just certain things that were going on with my body, usually I would ignore. And some of those I had paid for in later years. It's very important that you listen to that body. And, you're noticing some type of discomfort. You're noticing something that, wait a minute, yeah, usually this isn't how we be rolling. What's going on here? You want to instantly try to document that, and hopefully that's just a one-time occurrence. But if you are noticing some type of a pattern, very important to try to, document it. And then, if you got to pull that trigger and you got to go talk to a doctor and see what's going on, so be it, because paying attention to those signs early is so detrimental, because you could essentially be saving your life and stopping some type of a medical catastrophe. You could be stopping something dead in its tracks. I can't help but look at, I want to say, DJ Zima Ion. Does anybody remember? We were on the air when it happened to DJ Zima Ion too. Remember when he had got prostate cancer a couple of years back? I know some of you guys do. We were right here on the show and we were talking about it. That's a prime example of somebody that pretty much was looking at some early signs that was going on with his body, and he wasn't quite sure, what was going on. And I believe when he got diagnosed with the prostate cancer, I believe, because see, here's the thing. They tell you, like, if you're a guy, you shouldn't start getting prostate exams until you're 40. Like, once you hit 40, that's it. But in this particular case, they did some blood work and some other stuff, and then they just kind of said, okay, well, this isn't kind of matching up with, and the important thing is he listened to his body. Something was going on there. He pointed it out to him while he was doing his routine checkup and everything. One thing leads into another, and they discovered that he had prostate cancer. But because they were able to get on the shit early, and most importantly, because he listened to those warning signs, you feel me? So very, very important you listen to your body. Can't stress that enough. Very, very important. So again, speedy recovery to the game, Triple H. And also, speedy recovery to Kushida. If you guys been noticing, we hadn't seen Kushida on NXT programming in recent weeks. That's because he revealed that he had tested positive for COVID. He put out a statement on social media saying, and I quote, "I hope everyone is okay. 3 weeks ago, I was not available for my title match on NXT TV. I tested positive for COVID-19. My family also tested positive. Fortunately, everyone is okay. My wife and I are fully vaccinated." That's very important. We home in on that. I'm not going to be long-winded with that one, but just home in on that, lock that in, marinate on that for a little bit more that he had to say there on top of him and his wife being fully vaccinated, but we still got the virus. Fortunately, the vaccine has given us immunity, but we experienced some symptoms. Now, there is no such thing as immunity. I want to make sure that we really stress this as far as misconception goes and all that. Not being long-winded, but there is no such thing as a vaccine that gives you immunity. Okay, as far as having a 99.9% chance of combating some type of a variant, continuing to stay healthy, yeah, but there is that 1%, that one lingering 1%, you can get it, but it will not be as detrimental to your health as it would be if you did not get the vaccination. So we got to make sure that we stress that. Immunity, but we experience some symptoms. We are very low on energy, and I lost my sense of taste and smell. You keep hearing that. We are recovering. Everyone is feeling better now. The pandemic isn't over. Please stay safe. I will see you in the ring soon. So for those of you that's been wondering what's been going on with Kushida, now you know what's been going on. So, it just goes to show you it doesn't matter if you're fully vaccinated or not. You can still get this. That's why it's so important, you guys and girls. It's very important that you make it your business and still continue to practice that social distancing, still continue to do the mask and all of that. Be smart. Just fucking be smart. All said and done. Just be smart. Enough said. I can't say anymore. I can't stress anymore. Be smart. Just kind of follow up on what I said from that awesome kind of panel a couple of weeks ago. And yeah, in regards to AEW tonight, great show. I am too looking forward to Rampage this Friday night. Always, you can catch me reviewing AEW Rampage. I'm doing live coverage for AEW Rampage, ongoing live coverage on the 411 Mania site on Friday nights, and then I follow up immediately with a review for Rampage. Hopefully you guys been checking out the articles I've been putting out the past couple of weeks. This Dynamite for this week, this was pretty much our all-out Fallout edition of Dynamite, and man, they loaded it up. I loved it. Now, look, we ain't doing that ESPN Sports Center shit and breaking down the matches. We're not doing that. I'm going to give you guys just the overall generalized thoughts on the matches. But what I was most curious about going into this Dynamite, which was addressed, one, what's next for CM Punk? And I love that it was tackled pretty much head on. If you would have told me, All Out Sunday, oh, well, what's in the cards for CM Punk is him mingling there with Taz, Team Taz, and Hobbs and Hook, I'd be like, wait, what? Nah, come on. I would have a hard time really seeing that. But to see how it all had played out tonight, I thought it was fucking brilliant. I thought it was fucking brilliant. And I thought it was just totally not only unexpected, but very welcoming at the same time, because you really just take a step back and you think about it. Well, wait a minute. If ever two guys jarring on the microphones here, just sparring on the mics, going back and forth, two of the absolute best in Taz and CM Punk, if that doesn't get you riveting story right there, if that doesn't get you as a wrestling fan, that investment into that story arc, not really sure what will. So to have CM Punk and Taz doing their thing there, I felt that was a nice shot of adrenaline, particularly for Team Taz, because let's be honest, Team Taz has been a little bit stale the past several weeks. Just a little bit. I'm not knocking them, but they have been a little bit stale there. So to have CM Punk injected there, yeah, I find it not only to be intriguing, I'm hooked. No pun intended, but I'm hooked. I want to see how this is going to continue to play out here. And I love how we have this deranged Taz that's pretty much trying to call CM Punk on his bullshit, saying, yo, been hearing you on the interviews. I've heard you mentioning Team Taz. I've heard you mentioning Hobbs. I've heard you mentioning Hook. Punk is going, what the hell are you talking about? Like, I'm not even mentioning your name. I'm not even referring to you guys. What the hell are you talking about? So I love how we got all of that going down there. And this pretty much was the result of CM Punk in the ring asking the crowd, what's next for CM Punk? Asking the crowd literally, who would you like to see CM Punk face next? Couple of names being thrown at him and just Taz interjecting in there. Good stuff. Good stuff. A little random, but when you see how everything plays out, and shout out to those of you that maybe didn't watch Dynamite and you're hearing this and you're just trying to really visualize this. No, you got to actually watch Dynamite, and the way it played out, you're just going, okay, I'm in for this one. This should be badass, right? But at the same time, let's talk about the optics here. Big man Hobbs. Okay, CM Punk. You're kind of going, yeah, CM Punk is going to get mauled to death big time by freaking Hobbs. Yeah, CM Punk, he might have Starks. He might be able to hold his own and should be able to hold his own there against Ricky Starks. And he might be able to hold his own there and should be able to hold his own there against a guy like Hook. But against a guy like Powerhouse Hobbs, yeah, my man, you're going to need a little bit of help. So where is that help going to come from? So, I can't help but wonder if, and I kind of teased this on the All Out pay-per-view post-show, which is, are we now going to see going forward Sting, Darby Allin, Punk form this little, union, so to speak, now that it's pretty much been built on mutual respect and everything, and now that All Out has settled, everybody's pretty much on the same page. Ain't no beef. Bygones are pretty much bygones. Best man had won that night. Let's continue to move forward. You can't help but wonder if maybe that's what's in the immediate cards there, because there's going to need to be some type of a balancing act, or is the other direction that you maybe go, do you maybe somehow incorporate CM Punk with frickin' Mr. Terminator, Cyber Terminator, frickin' Brian Cage? Do you maybe somehow incorporate Cage and Punk together? Because that would actually be a pretty damn good team as well. So, because if you were to go in the direction of, no, we're going to go with Punk, Darby, Sting, you just can't help but wonder, okay, now look, I'm going to give you my 2 cents from a distance, but you can't help but wonder, okay, is Punk and Sting really okay with Hobbs? Hobbs has shown a lot of improvement in the past several months. A lot of improvement. He's coming along, still a little bit green in some areas, but do they trust the big man enough where it comes to some serious spots? Let's be honest. Are they comfortable in working with a guy like Hobbs? From what I've seen personally, again, 2 cents from a distance, right? I'm not the be all end all, but just 2 cents from a distance, I think they will be just fine with a guy like Hobbs, right? It's really just all about playing to their strengths, Hobbs playing to his strengths, and just laying it out accordingly. But I really do think that either way, we got some interesting plug and play that you can do here with Punk. If you want to go the Punk, Allen, Sting, or if you're gonna go that would actually really, really be interesting. Talk about really coming back full circle. Remember the feud there that Brian Cage and Darby Allin had there for a brief moment. I almost totally blanked on the matchup that Allin and Cage had, but wow, you want to talk about really coming back full circle? Could you maybe see CM Punk, Brian Cage, Darby Allin? With, of course, Sting, still incorporated in there, because pretty much Sting is that loyal, I hate to call him a loyal dog, but he's pretty much these days, he's acting like that dog that, just follows you home. You're on your way home from school or whatever, and he's pretty much just right there with you, a loyal friend right there by your side until the very end. So, interesting plug-and plays that we got going forward, but with Taz and Punk just right there at the core, we got ourselves some pretty good programming that's going to be coming up. Adam Cole breaking his silence. First time, really speaking here since he made his AEW debut at the pay-per-view and all that. And, yeah, sorry, I just got a private message. I'm not going to share that with you guys. But, yeah, Adam Page. I said Adam Page. I'm sorry, Adam Cole. Damn, I got my Adams mixed up. Speaking of which, where is Hangman Adam Page? See him in a hot minute. I missed the guy. I need to see that guy back, man. But Adam Cole breaking his silence, not really saying too much about being now in AEW and everything, but I will say this. I like his Twitch channel. I checked a little bit of his Twitch channel out off and on the past couple of weeks, but I really started paying attention to it after he signed with AEW. And he's definitely made a fan out of me. That's definitely a guy I can honestly see myself on a regular basis, especially if I got the free time. And just check him out, see the random games that he's playing and shit. He comes off like a really good dude. He really, really does. And definitely somebody that really cares about his gaming community and all that. So I love that personal interaction he has, and I like the fact that he's not, one problem that I've seen with Twitch or even Facebook, just gaming streamers in general, that is a negative turnoff for me, that I think Adam Cole does pretty well when he's doing his streams. Biggest problem I've seen with most streamers is they only acknowledge mofos that's putting money in their pocket. And I think that's just so wrong. I think anybody that's taking time out of their schedule to check your shit out and they're commenting on your stuff, I think regardless of their fucking status, money or no money, I think that, they should be acknowledged. Like Rob's comment. Rob just posted a comment in regards to my question about Hangman Adam Page. He's saying that from what he is kind of understanding, as far as the rumors are going, he got time off because his wife is pregnant. So I keep forgetting that, Rob. So thank you for reminding me. So, yeah, I mean, assuming she's maybe getting ready to, because we, as fans, we don't really know how far along she is, if she's getting ready to pop or whatever. But if he's been gone as a result of that, usually 1 and 1 is 2. Maybe she's getting ready to go into labor and all that. So I do miss the guy, though. I tremendously do miss the guy, because it just kind of seemed the way things were kind of maybe building up. Maybe it was going to be Hangman and Omega, or maybe that was just my wishful thinking, because for me, that's still the full comeback story, is seeing Hangman Adam Page dethrone Kenny Omega, and just that nice built-in history that's there between the two and all of that. really great full circle moment it would be for the Hangman there. But I like Adam Cole. I like how he handles himself during his streaming presentations and all that. You know, it legit feels like one big family, you know, and he's doing his best to incorporate everybody. And you go really far when you not only operate like that as a streamer, but when you also really wear your heart on your sleeve. You know, I think that's also the most important thing there is like when you wear your heart on your sleeve, you're not being fake. You're not being a bullshitter. And he comes off not as a bullshitter at all. So I like that. So he's definitely made a fan out of me when it comes to his streams. But, you know, he pretty much was just putting the spotlight on the fact that, you know, I mean, look, these guys, they're pretty much the Mount Rushmore. You know, everything successfully that's been happening with AEW to the fans buying the tickets and everything, Bucks, you know, all of those guys, that whole elite, you know, that's pretty much ultimately what brought him to AEW and everything. So, you know, that was kind of badass. We also got information that Adam Cole is going to be making his in-ring debut on next Wednesday's Dynamite. There was so much information they had put out there on this week's Dynamite and setting up Rampage for this week and then setting up Dynamite for the very next week. Bear with me a second here. I was only able to take with so many notes here because you know how those guys are like boom, 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 boom. And then wifey had called me telling me of some personal stuff that was going on at work. So I sadly wasn't able to get all of the stuff down. But yeah, Adam Cole is going to have his in-ring debut match next week. If I remember correctly, I'll rely on you guys to correct me if I'm wrong. But if I remember correctly, Cole is supposed to be facing Frankie Kazarian in his AEW Dynamite debut match. Also on next week's Dynamite, Ruby Soho is going to be in action. We saw her in action tonight. We'll get to that in a little bit, but she's going to be in action on next week's Dynamite. She's going to be involved in a 6-man tag match. And then Rampage, also on Dynamite coming up next week, Malachi Black will be in the house, but also in the house will be Cody Rhodes. Cody will be back in the house. So it's, and Derek is saying that is right, that it is going to be Adam Cole taking on Frankie Kazarian next week. Thank you for that, Derek. Appreciate that. So yeah, Cody Rhodes is going to be back in the house. I can't wait to see how that's going to play out, especially considering what we got on Dynamite to start us off. The whole Malachi Black taking on Dustin Rhodes. That was a phenomenal matchup. It was. The entrance alone of Malachi Black. That entrance, let me tell you something. I know usually I when I talk AEW, I give a lot of glowing things. And very little do I criticism, right? But I do. You know, it's not a cherry pick. It's, you know, like I told somebody on the 401 Mania forums a couple of weeks ago, because somebody was blowing a gasket that me and the other guy didn't mention the whole Darby Allin CM Punk little montage thing from Rampage a couple of weeks ago. You know, like I told that guy, I said, look, when a promotion is doing something right, like regardless who it is, when they're doing something right, I give them praise. When they're doing something wrong, I'm on that ass. One thing that's just been, for me, in regards to AEW, the entrance music, the theme musics, you know, a lot of them just so kind of generic, doesn't really stand out in a way where you're bobbing your head. I'm the type of guy, since I love all things music, I'm that type of guy, if you can get me bobbing my head and you can get me tapping my foot, that's a good sign. That means your shit's on point. If you can get me in a position where I'm interested in buying your single or buying your album. Remember how cool it was back in the day, y'all, when we were buying wrestling albums left and right? I must have had every single goddamn WWE anthology that ever existed. Like every single time WWE was coming out with a new entrance theme album, I must have had every single freaking joint that was like humanly available, right? I'm talking physical CDs when it was still a thing, okay? I haven't felt that way about certain wrestlers' themes in a long time. Very seldom does a wrestler's theme really get to me, and I go. And let's be honest, some of the stuff there in AEW, it's pretty generic. Okay, it's like that, it's like that creator wrestler, type type of. Yeah, doesn't get any more generic than that shit. Malachi's Black's theme, that shit I'm feeling. I'm really, I don't know who made that theme. It ain't my boy Matt Coon. Shout out to Matt Coon. Matt Coon, he's actually made a couple of cool themes for some of the AEW talents. I know he is behind the FTR joint. That theme's actually pretty good. But most of them are kind of, okay? CM Punk doesn't even count because that's in living color. Okay, so we can't even, right? That's a badass theme. But that ain't an AEW original production. But what they did with Malachi Black's theme, it's got this. I'm trying to. Best way I could describe it. If you're into rock and metal, it's got a Deftones meets Tool type of vibe, and I fucking love it. I love it. Just hearing the guy, screaming out in agony. I love it. He's got one of the best presentations, themes, all that shit. Yeah, that match against Dustin Rhodes tonight, good shit. It was definitely some good shit. Malachi Black going over, not a surprise. Not a fucking surprise whatsoever. Some people kind of maybe looked at this match, though, and felt that Dustin was going a little bit too long. That I didn't have a problem with the length of the match, actually. I thought the length of the match was just fine. These guys went about, maybe like almost 15 minutes here. And, I didn't mind it. I didn't mind it because, after all, we're talking about somebody that essentially is a Rhodes. And we're talking about somebody that is the older brother of one Cody Rhodes. So if you're going to bridge a gap here in a way where next week you're doing the return of Cody Rhodes, then you definitely need to have something to kind of build off of, essentially. I know everybody was kind of tripping over that one spot there where Dustin was looking for the quick power slam, as I guess he assumed legitimately Malachi bounced off of the ropes and Cody was just going to go right into his, but that's not what happened. I don't even know why we needed to make a gif of that personally, and I'm not taking shots at any of you guys that like doing the AEW botches and all that other stuff, but for me personally, shit happens. Accidents happen. Sometimes you can have a brain fart, it's easy to talk a real good game and make fun and make little gifs and, oh, look at this little spot that happened and everything. But you try being in that ring, and I actually did used to do a little bit of in-ring stuff, many years ago. So I definitely understand, respect, have that appreciation and all that. But you try being in the ring and, you try, okay, you're calling audibles and shit, and trying to make sure that you got the spots down, just right. You're where you're supposed to be, push come to shove, the ref's right there, and they can pretty much tell you what's supposed to happen next and everything. But shit happens. It's like, can we get past that little botch spot? Let's talk about the entire match in general. I thought it was a good match in general. What really kind of took me back the most was the fact that Dustin can still go. At his age, Dustin can still fucking go. Nice spinning kick out of nowhere to the temple of Dustin. And pretty much that was it. Malachi Black picking up the dub here. Looking good. Great opener right there. Love the touch of blood, too, that was coming from Dustin. And that's despite the fact that he had the whole makeup thing going on. Badass. Freaking badass. So, again, great setup that we got there for Cody, because his new TV show, and I got to look that up again. I think his show is getting ready to pop up later this month, actually. If you guys can bear with me a second here, I can actually give you guys the exact date. That's the one thing that I always flush out, is that fucking TV show Where is it here? I'm actually looking at it. Give me a second here. I think I might have it. Unless somebody wants to jump in the chat and real quick give me the date of that Rhodes TV show there. It's sad I keep forgetting it. Yeah, I'm not getting it right now. But I'm pretty sure it's supposed to be debuting later this month. So hang on here. Yeah. I need help from you guys. So I'll keep going. But the way I was initially expecting it, I really was wanting for Brandy Rhodes to make her return and promoting that fucking TV series. Malachi Black doing his thing, interrupting it, not getting too physical with Brandy, but pretty much getting her in a corner. September 29th. Thank you, Steven. Pretty much getting her in a corner and, maybe just caressing her hair a little bit or some shit like that. And then just seeing Cody Rhodes out of nowhere flipping the fuck out and just, I was expecting that. So, now I can't help but wonder with Cody Rhodes returning next week, what are we going to get here exactly? Are we going to get Cody Rhodes that's going to be promoting this TNT series and Malachi Black is going to take a couple of jabs at him verbally and Rhodes just pretty much steps down and he pretty much retreats and maybe Brandy comes out and like what's going to happen the next week? I need to know what are we doing here? It still kind of feels to me as though and here's the thing. I feel as though Cody, Black, Khan know where they're going, but it's not necessarily translating well on TV where I just kind of feel, what are we doing here? I feel a little confused here. Love what's been going on with Black though. I mean, they've just been continuing to build him up. Very cool. Very cool. No complaints about Malachi whatsoever. But bridging it back to Cody, that's where I'm a little bit, what are we doing right there? From there, oh, by the way, I can't believe I almost forgot about that. Going back to that whole Adam Cole segment. I love how Adam Cole tonight grabbed that microphone from Tony Schiavone's hands and threatened his ass. I love how he went to town on him saying, look, I know you're close to Britt Baker, but so help me God, I love how he went into it because he pretty much damn near was calling Tony Schiavone there. Let's call it for what it is. One of my favorite freaking songs there featuring Ron Isley. You're contagious, touch me, baby, drive me wild. Sexy lady, drive me crazy. Oh, that's my song. And you got Ron Isley just coming in there. Oh, I just can't believe this. I love that. I mean, we literally got fucking Adam Cole calling Tony Schiavone out. Yo, you fucking home wrecker. I'm paraphrasing here. Like, I know what you about. I know your hustle slim. I know you trying to get your dick up in my woman. It ain't happening. Bounce. I love that he pretty much called out Tony Schiavone on that shit. And what was so damn, if there was ever a time where Schiavone should be standing his own two ground there, like this is where it was a little bit inconsistent for me here. Because on the one hand, we've got Tony Schiavone who can be pretty vocal about some of the shit that he's saying. I mean, shit, let alone the garbage there that was going on with QT Marshall and when they were trying to, intimidate him, messing with his son and everything. We've seen Tony Schiavone, when it counts, we've seen him kind of, right? So I was a little bit kind of taken back that Tony Schiavone just, you got it wrong. You got it wrong. It's not even like that. Why don't we talk about this in the back? It's not even like that. And the fact that Tony Schiavone wasn't even, so now you're kind of going, well, something kind of actually, right? And storyline, of course, you're going, is something kind of, right? And to just dismiss Tony Schiavone's ass like that, I just see now I'm most curious to know going forward what's going to happen there with Tony Schiavone. I mean, if you're looking at the story arc, you're kind of saying to yourself, okay, so through process of elimination, which you can expect as the viewer, is to see Tony Schiavone do any and everything possible to dodge interviewing Britt Baker going forward. How long is that going to last? Because you just kind of feel that Britt Baker is maybe going to confront him and say, yo, what's going on? Why you been dodging me? How come you don't interview me? How come you don't return my texts? How come you don't, what's going on? I can literally see something like that happening further down the road. The only question is, how is that all gonna pan out? Is it ultimately going to lead to Adam Cole getting physical with Tony Schiavone? Hey, I gave you the warnings, and Baker essentially confronts Adam Cole. Are we going to see something along those lines? Or, are we kind of doing it in a way where we think Schiavone is going to get physically assaulted there by Adam Cole after all those warnings, but this pretty much leaves a window of a good opportunity for a babyface to jump in and pretty much come to Schiavone's rescue, right? Kind of one of those type of deals that's going on. But I thought that was pretty badass how they had laid that out tonight, and poor Tony Schiavone just slowly making his exit out the. I loved it. All that shit was good. The Kenny Omega Daniel Bryan confrontation, badass. Oh, we got a lot to talk about in regards to Kenny Omega later, by the way. I know it's a hot button topic right now. Everybody's talking about the PWI 500, Omega #1, Roman Reigns at #2. We'll get into that. We will get into that. But to see Kenny Omega and Daniel Bryan have a trade-off of words there, loved it. Daniel Bryan getting right up in Kenny Omega's face, calling yourself the best, wrestler in the world, all that shit. Hey, what's up with you and me? One-on-one. Fans erupting, loving it. But Daniel Bryan is pretty hip. He's been watching Kenny Omega. He knows the deal. He knows that putting the challenge out there, that's not how Kenny Omega rolls. He likes to fucking run like a scared little bitch. You right? So Daniel Bryan calling him out, like, let's be honest, you and me collide. We get in that ring, I'll run circles on your ass. I'll take away that title. And then to see Kenny Omega and Daniel Bryan just brawling there, but Daniel getting the best of them there. Good stuff. Almost going for the LaBelle lock there. And all carnage breaking out with the Elite, Kazarian, Luchasaurus, or correction, Jurassic Express, all those guys coming out, Frankie Kazarian, all of that, everything just Christian, everything just unloading right then and there. So basically, continuation of what we had got from All Out, if you will, so per se. So loved how all of that had came about together. By the way, if you really wanted to do a badass Rampage main event, I'm just saying. Especially when you look at the Rampage numbers. I wasn't going to even talk about the Rampage numbers until later on in the show. But we got this nice flow that's going right now. Hopefully you guys appreciate the flow that's going on. But you look at the Rampage numbers from last Friday. Not good. You could almost say that since CM Punk made his AEW Rampage debut, and you look at the numbers from that episode compared to this past Friday's Rampage, viewership dropped by like 50%. By like 50%. Just think about that for a second. By 50%. That's fucking ridiculous. That was your go-home edition into All Out Weekend. And Rampage couldn't even do 700,000 on Friday night. Now, look, the number that they did was actually still pretty damn good. They did about 696,000 viewers. That's still pretty good, but of the episodes that's been released so far, that's pretty low. That's actually pretty low. And it's down from the previous episode, which was 727,000. Now, you look at that 18 to 49 demo, that earned a 0.31 with 397,000 viewers, which is also down from the 0.34 rating and the 434,000 viewers from the prior week. So, look, not for nothing, but I kind of knew that this trend was coming. And if you go back and you read the article / review that I did for Rampage, I want to say it was actually, if not this past Friday, maybe the one before. But I remember saying something in my review where I said, now that the CM Punk debut is out of the way, we should be, honestly going forward when it comes to these Rampage episodes. There's going to be a usual tone that's going to be set here, and we can expect a form of, okay, well, this is just your typical. And, if you kind of really read in between the lines of what I was trying to say there, it was basically, don't keep expecting these, wow, dynamite, no pun intended, when it comes to Rampage, spectacular episode. Don't keep expecting all these great hits to keep happening on a 1 hour show. So look, everybody's running around with their heads cut off right now, and they're acting like it's the end of the fucking world because Rampage couldn't do 700,000. Look, I think for a Friday night, especially now that you got college games back and all of that good stuff, basketball is getting ready to start back up again and everything. I think that to get about almost 700,000 viewers, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. Let's pump the brakes. Mellow out. I think we need to start hitting the panic button when we're looking at Rampages if the number goes down even less than that. Honestly, if we're getting in the 500,000 range and less, that's when maybe we should start kind of going, okay, what's going on here? But to the point I was making earlier, I'm a little bit surprised that for Rampage this week, the main event actually was in Jurassic Express Christian taking on the Elite guys there. I'm very surprised we didn't go in that direction. I mean, if you're going to do anything, look, I'm down with Adam Cole debut on Dynamite and everything, but it's like, what's he doing Friday? Is he doing something special Friday? Because I'm just saying, let's do it. I'll just throw him out there, put him in the main event match. And all. That would have been a better setup, I personally think. But you know what? It is what it is. It is what it is. But maybe we'll get that in the coming weeks. Maybe we'll get that in the coming weeks. If not in the coming weeks, then for sure at the Full Gear pay-per-view, maybe we'll get it there, right? We'll have to wait and see how that pans out. Video from Eddie Kingston calls out Miro for cheating in their match and says, if you know anything about God, he has no favorites, and that when it rains, it pours on the wicked and the righteous alike. That's what he had said. We then go to Miro. Miro says Eddie couldn't handle the heat when he realized you can't hurt a man that's personally been chosen by God. Oh, I can't wait to see these guys. Look, as far as All Out goes, I thought they had one of the best matches. And as far as one of the best story arcs / rivalry of a match, I thought they had the best one so far. I love what we're continuing to see out of these guys. Good shit. Powerhouse Hobbs defeating Dante Martin. Didn't really seem like it was that good of a matchup personally. Kind of didn't really seem to me, 2 cents from a distance, didn't really seem to me that they were meshing that well together. I felt that Dante Martin was really, really going above and beyond. I mean, he pretty much, let's be honest, he was the crash test dummy in this match. He's the one that was really getting all the attention just from all the crazy spots that was going on in this match and everything. But it wasn't that bad of a match, but for me personally, I just kind of felt that these two guys, they just weren't clicking. Now, I tell you what did click, seeing my man Dan Lambert once again in his VIP box with Men of the Year, congratulating AEW for hiring all the guys they recently hired and debuted at All Out that standing barely at 5'8" or whatever, weigh whatever 150 or some shit, and says that's basically all Tony Khan's doing is hiring all these people to distract fans from the truth. And hey, fans might think that AEW is the hottest thing in wrestling going on right now, but management can't keep Scorpio Sky and Ethan Page down, or anyone that wants to try and shut them up. They're more than welcome to try. Lambert, damn good promo. Damn good promo. I mean, this guy, could you just imagine if this guy, there's that new NBC series. I can't think of the name of the show that's coming about. I think it's called Average Joe. You guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's called Average Joe. And the synopsis for the show is basically about this guy that, I don't know. I don't know if he's like being given wishes from genies or some shit like that. But, it kind of gives me like a Sliders vibe almost, where he's able to see or experience different versions of himself in what could have been his life. Maybe in another life, he wanted to be a surgeon. Another life, he wanted to be a renowned actor, well-respected actor, right? Another one, he wanted to be an athlete. And Average Joe just kind of chronicles this guy that, what could have been if he would have followed this path and everything. So in the case of Dan Lambert, I just look at him and I just go, man, could you just imagine if that guy would have gotten involved in the wrestling business, much younger, right? 20-something years ago. Could you imagine a Dan Lambert running around in the ECW days? Just as a manager. God damn. I'm telling you. He is good. He is good. And shout out to Tony Khan and them for realizing what a great piece of talent they got on the microphone at their hands. Somebody that definitely understands and most importantly respects the business and knows how to pay it forward and really fucking work the crowd. When you look at the guys there in AEW, as far as these guys know how to work it. They know how to work those folks in that arena. Dan Lambert is definitely near the top. You got to put Taz on that list as well. You definitely got to show your respect and give those flowers to my man MJF. MJF really bringing it tonight. Had me laughing my ass off at the promo he was cutting there on Cincinnati, calling them Shit-Cincinnati. Love that. Great shit right there. Even poking fun there at Aunt Pillman. Oh, Linda Pillman. Oh, come on now. That was just uncalled for right there. You're going, oh, that's below the belt, my man. That's below the belt. By the way, she got Aunt Pillman. She got a lot of love tonight too. I almost forgot about that. She also got love from CM Punk when he was cutting his promo, and he gave her flowers. I love the Dark Side of the Ring plug. Him mentioning how he watched that episode and the great amount of respect that he has for her. That got the whole crowd popping for Aunt Pillman. Good shit, and I can't stress it enough. If you guys did not watch Dark Side of the Ring, I know for a lot of you guys, it's a matter of, these days, well, I don't have A&E. There's ways that you can check out Dark Side of the Ring. I would recommend Pluto TV. Somebody had asked me a long time ago, what the hell is Pluto TV? In a nutshell, it's like Sling TV. It is like Hulu TV. You can pay as little as $20. Actually, no, I think it's somewhere between $10 to $20 a month. And basically, you can watch Dark Side of the Ring that way. And it's really cool how they got it set up. You don't need to worry about no storage space or anything like that. You just find the shows. I haven't really been playing around with it like that. I only got Pluto so I could watch Dark Side of the Ring, so A&E, and new episodes of unsung on TV1, because I don't get neither of those networks with YouTube TV. I'm hoping that in the next year or two, we can kind of break some territory here and we can finally get access to those joints. But yeah, I mean, you can't beat that. $10 to $20 a month. You don't have to worry about paying for extra storage. You pretty much just go in there. Once you've added those shows to your list, you get all the episodes, like all the seasons. They're automatically available on demand for you to check out and everything. And I think there's your standardized ads that you have to watch in between. I mean, nothing too excruciating, but I mean, come on, you can't beat that for $10 to $20. So check that out for those of you that maybe no longer have access to A&E, because I know there's been some problems over the years where this channel got lost because they couldn't agree to new terms of a contract and all of that other shit. So that's my special shout out to you guys that maybe don't have your traditional cable satellite TV anymore. Those are some really, really good options. But to my point, that loose cannon Brian Pillman episode, you're just feeling so fucking down and just when you're watching it. But man, Aunt Pillman, you talk about a white knight. Man, if it wasn't for her and what she was able to do for Pillman Jr. and the other kids there's just no telling what would have happened with those kids, right? So it was nice to see her get her fucking props. But MJF just having a field day on Aunt Pillman, even messing around with fucking, was that Pillman Jr.'s woman or his sister there? I forgot, but even coming after her, I mean, he was just bringing the fire tonight with his promo. That shit was just straight up fire. And to see Brian Pillman Jr. come out, pretty much coming to save the day, getting a nice reaction from the crowd. MJF eventually having Wardlow. Notice what's going on there. It seems as though the final days are approaching as far as Wardlow and his alliance there with MJF. We just continue to see MJF, where it counts most, take his shots at Wardlow, as Pillman wanted to get froggy with MJF. Wardlow standing right in between the two, and MJF just finally tells Wardlow, oh, you're going to have my back, kind of like you had my back at the pay-per-view. By the way, nice little spin that MJF had put out there, the whole conspiracy theory. Tony Khan and them pretty much out to get him. Essentially, that's how he was screwed over in his victory over Jericho. Kind of like how we got that, but then that nice pivot going into Pillman, that was good. But Pillman owning MJF's ass once Wardlow stepped out of the way, and just, oh man, just on top of him, just pounding his face away. Loved it. Good fucking shit right there. Clocked him out. Next thing you know, Garrison comes out. Wardlow pretty much makes quick work of him. So you would imagine that maybe some type of a tag team we're maybe going to be seeing come about, which has me thinking about it. If I remember correctly, let me look at my notes here. Yeah, kind of weird. Because after all this was over, Pillman and Garrison, they were backstage. And who pops up on Dynamite programming? The Acclaimed. That includes Max Caster. Oh, I love the reports that were floating around off and on over the past several weeks. Max Caster's on eBay and he's selling his gear. He's been let go by AEW and he's hurting for cash. He's hurting for cash so bad he needs to sell his wrestling gear. Remember all that shit that was floating around? Oh, Max Caster changed his handle information and it doesn't say AEW anymore and oh, they let him go. Remember all that stuff I was running around? Now, not for nothing, but Max Caster you know, let me leave it at this. There's always been footprints that no, he's actually not done with AEW. He's not. I know there's going to be a lot of people that's going to be looking at this. Oh my God, Max Caster, he's back. He's back with AEW. He's back. And it's like, not for nothing, but he did AEW Dark August of this year. Just saying. Okay, so I love you guys. Seriously, I love you. I know most of you guys are good. You're good. You don't go down that rabbit's hole. You don't. But you get the point that I'm making. When you don't know the shot, sometimes it's just really good to shut the fuck up and just let everything play out the way it plays out, and then go from there. It's like I said a couple of weeks ago. We got motherfuckers, dirt sheets, websites, and all that. They're just throwing darts. They're just assuming, right? Look at the shit that's going on with Kevin Owens and that whole contract stuff. We'll talk more about that later. Anyway, interesting though, they showed up, Max Caster taking personal little cheap shots against Pillman, and it's revealed that on Rampage this week, Pillman, Max Caster, they're going to be having a match. So, should be good. You guys been enjoying the show so far. I want to let you guys know I appreciate it, especially if you've been enjoying yourselves. Did you guys know you got a really cool superpower? I want to tell you guys about that superpower. Your superpower, believe it or not, is that like button. You hit that like button, that superpower you have there, it does so much, especially as far as channel recommendations, helping more people discover our content. So hit that like button. Appreciate that in advance. Let's keep rocking and rolling. A couple more things we could talk about with Dynamite before we get ready to move on. Again, pretty good show that they had there tonight. Jamie Hayter taking on Ruby Soho. Ruby picking up the dub. Didn't click. The two girls did not click. There was this was, man, I thought the Chris Statlander, Britt Baker had some dangerous spots. I thought it was one of those matches where, as I said on the post show, started off decent. Then we go down this slope and we're like, whoa! And then we ended with, ha. Whereas Ruby Soho and Jamie Hayter was just, and then, ooh. And then, no. I do not want to see these two girls ever in a match together. I don't ever want to see these two girls in a match together. This was just, there were some dangerous spots in their match. I'm not putting the blame on Ruby. I've seen enough of Ruby on the independents, definitely in WWE. I'm not putting the blame on her. I don't want to put the blame on Jamie Hayter, but I will. I don't know how you chalk this up, y'all. Seriously, I don't know how you chalk this up. I don't know if you just chalk this up to y'all just didn't click. I don't know if it's kind of one of those type of deals because, you know, most of the fans were kind of sitting in their hands during this match. As far as most quietest moments during Dynamite tonight, this was definitely one of the most quietest moments during the show. You know, they were popping for her nice little music. It's got me thinking of some old school song from back in the day. I can't picture the name right now. Somebody's going to tell me exactly what that song is, but yeah, that was pretty rough. That was pretty rough. But anyway, post-match, Baker jumps on Soho. Rio comes from out of nowhere, cleans house, but cheats Uranagi from Hayter. Baker then tries to go for the trademark curb stop on Soho, but Chris Statlander comes out with a steel chair, pretty much clears out all the girls. And that pretty much was the end of that. Now, look, I was talking about Ricky Starks, Brian Cage earlier. So we get Ricky Starks and Brian Cage comments because, you know, they're still kind of going at it with each other. So apparently one more match is going to go down. Starks proclaiming he will prove why they call him the absolute Ricky Starks. So, yeah, it looks like we're getting these guys one more time. Trios match, Shawn Spears, FTR, and Wardlow taking on Dark Order, Evil Uno, 10, Allen 5 Angels, just, yeah, Pinnacle 1. Average Trios matchup. I mean, this was really about just pushing the narrative that there's trouble in paradise with the Dark Order. I know everybody's kind of looking at the whole Bray Wyatt and Bray Wyatt everybody's got this. And I think it's a really great idea. I really do, because everybody's, you know how much Brody Lee meant to Bray, and, who better to be the new leader of the Dark Order than Bray, and I don't know about all of that. I just know right now there's trouble in paradise. Could you slide in? Could you plug and play Bray Wyatt in there? Yeah, you could. You definitely could. Do you really want to? I don't know. Teach its own. I don't know. Tully Blanchard is interviewed. This was kind of an odd interview right here, but he's talking to Tony Schiavone, and he talks about leadership and the importance of leadership. And he decides to take shots at Sting by saying Sting is trying to capitalize on someone else again while he's leading things. Kind of weird right there. He then calls for Shawn Spears to fight Darby Allin next week and promises he's going one-on-one with Sting at some point. Yes, Tully Blanchard proclaiming that at some point he will be confronting Sting and that he and Sting will be going one-on-one. So let me see if I got this straight. So Tully Blanchard, who is what? God, what is he now? 67? Sting is what? 64? Sting should be like 64 by now, right? No. He's 62. Sorry, he's 62. Look, I gotta see a lot more of this. It's too early. Does kind of have you, but it's too early. Let's just deal with the talking segment first, and then we can pretty much go from there, right, guys? We can pretty much go from there. See, other than that, I'm trying to think about what else had happened. Oh, yeah, your main event match. Moxley, Minoru Suzuki. I'll be honest with you guys, because that's what you expect. Not as good as what they did in 2020, New Beginning in Osaka. Wasn't as good as that. Being straight up honest with you. Wasn't as good as that match. This was a very watered down version of that match. This is what I would describe as a straight up, and if I'm wrong, you guys tell me. But this was nothing more than what's the best way? You know what? I'm just going to throw it out there. I'm just going to let the shit stick to the wall. I'm just going to spew it. This was what I would call a superstars entertainment match. You kind of get my drift. Kind of read in between the lines there. This was a made-for-TV match. This was not a pay-per-view quality. This was not... If you saw what they did with the New Beginning in Osaka and you thought that's what you were going to be getting tonight, you were sadly mistaken. Sadly mistaken. Now, look, I'm not saying this match was terrible, okay? Hear me out. I'm not saying it was terrible. Not saying it was bad. I'm just saying this was a really good TV match, because by the time you got done with the introductions, if you were lucky, maybe these guys were wrestling for about 9 minutes. Bullshit you not. So, for me, look, I'm happy for the fans that maybe never got to see Minoru live in person. So shout out to those in Cincinnati tonight, that were there and, they got to see Minoru Suzuki and everything. But besides that, it's kind of like, this was kind of like one of those, the best way I can describe this. How many of you all are familiar with the Al Pacino, Joe Pesci, Robert De Niro movie, The Irishman? Isn't The Irishman like 3+ hours of a movie? Okay. But everybody goes, oh, but it's a masterpiece. So you could essentially look at what Moxley and Suzuki did at New Beginning in Osaka as The Irishman, the actual full-length version. Whereas the follow-up to that movie, The Irishman, it's kind of like, yeah, we want this, but we want an abbreviated version. Okay, so we'll just take all the good stuff, and instead of 3 hours, we'll just make it 75 minutes. That'll work. Okay, good luck. And that's pretty much what we got from Moxley and Suzuki. Was really a edited version of their LP from last year. So you just knew that by the time you're looking at your clock and you're seeing how much time is left in Dynamite, you're just in process of elimination. Oh, we're gonna get some. Yeah, this ain't gonna be on the same level. So it's already clicking in your head. But going towards the finish line, the two guys just totally going all balls out, being very violent with each other, brawling and all that. Good stuff. Moxley connecting with the paradigm shift onto Suzuki to pick up the dub. Pretty much ends Dynamite. Moxley is celebrating with the crowd as Dynamite ends like that. So pretty, thanks for coming, Suzuki. Enjoy the flight back to Japan. It's kind of like one of those type of deals. So, yeah. I just shook my head at that because I just was like, I was really excited for this match, mainly for you guys, because I remember we were here during the pay-per-view post-show, and I said to you guys, if you didn't get a chance to see Suzuki in New Japan, I said to you guys, y'all are in for a treat. And I totally would understand it if you guys were kind of like, yeah, I saw this match tonight, Lee, and I wasn't really impressed with what I saw, dog. What the fuck? He didn't live up to the hype that you were mentioning. Don't blame me, man. I feel where you're coming from, though. But this is kind of one of those cases where if you want to whet your appetite a little bit more with Minoru Suzuki, go get yourself, especially if you can afford it for a month, waste the $10. Go get a New Japan World subscription and go check out the New Beginning in Osaka from 2020. Go check that out. Between him and Moxley. Go check that out. You'll thank me later. I already tried, by the way, to see if I could find it for you guys on social media. There's a lot of people that keep doing a video game version of it. Don't you hate that? They do the actual graphic card and shit from like the actual pay-per-view, and you're thinking, oh man, right? You got your drink, you got your popcorn. That wasn't me, by the way, but you get what I'm saying. Like, oh man, shit about to get popping. Yes, right? Man, you push play and it's a fucking video game. It's a fucking video game. Like, ain't nobody got time for that shit. Look, I know there's a lot of people that like doing that whole E-Fed and all that cool. I think that's cool, but there's a time and a place, man. Motherfuckers want to see the actual shit. But let me tell you something. How cool of a cat I am. As much as that pisses me off, I don't leave a dislike. I just close that bitch, and you know how YouTube is. YouTube, you'll try to say next time you're on, oh, we suggest you watch this video from same guy that had the little. And I just like clicking down on those three dots and just going, don't recommend this channel. I just love doing that. Like I'm not gonna leave a dislike because I know for those CAW guys, man. I mean, that's a lot of time, energy, and work. I don't know when's the last time you guys picked up a damn controller, but the way they go about making these wrestlers now, it's like an 8-hour job. I'm not talking about for the actual people that design the game. I'm talking about us as the gamers to actually pick up the controller. I want to make a wrestler. It's like you got to have a PhD making these fucking wrestlers these days, man. You're spending like about at least 2 hours looking at a picture, fine-tuning, looking back at the picture, fine-tuning, looking at the picture again, fine-tuning. I mean, you're spending about 2 hours just building the fucking body together. And nowadays, you got to spend about at least 45 minutes to an hour on the fucking move set. And then you got to spend, it's really gotten complex now. Now you got to spend about 45 minutes to an hour on the fucking entrance theme. You know, your entrance movement, motion, and, you know, when you move to the left, what is the left side of your body doing? You know, what's the right side of your body doing? I mean, it's gotten so fucking complex. It's just kind of, boss, I'm tired. I just want to play. Seriously, it's like, time you do that, you're like, dinner's ready. Oh, time to get laid. You know, it's kind of one of those type of deals. But good AEW Dynamite for this week. Solid AEW Dynamite for this week. So, look, we learned a lot more about... by the way, before I go any further, I was about to go a serious tip there on the wrestling note, but real quick, AEW Dark Elevation matches for this week. Not going to spoil it for you guys that didn't watch Elevation or Dark yet, but here's your matches for Dark Elevation for September 6th. Kiera Hogan faces Blair Onyx. Red Velvet took on Queen Amanada. Rio faced Sky Blue. Nyla Rose took on Laney Luck. Laney Luck. Emi Sakura faced Missa Kate. Lance Archer went toe-to-toe with GPA. Griff Garrison, meanwhile, faced Anthony Bowens. J.D. Drake with the Wingman faced Dante Martin. John Silver and 10 of the Dark Order were in tag team action against Travis Titan and Isaiah Moore. Ryan Namath and Peter Avalon with J.D. Drake and Cesar Bonini took on Bear Country. John Moxley, Eddie Kingston, and Darby Allin with Sting took on Chaos Project and Ricky Shane Page. Those were your matches for Dark Elevation. Meanwhile, on AEW Dark, here's your Dark results for September 7th of this week. Lance Archer took on Jason Hotch. Bunny took on Laney Luck. Evil Uno with Stu Grayson and Cole Cabana took on Alan Angels with John Silver and Preston Vance. Meanwhile, the Acclaimed took on Sean Dean and Robert Anthony. Joey Janela took on Kayla Rossi. Joey Janela took on Lee Moriarty. By the way, shout out to Lee Moriarty. He actually was awarded during the tapings for Dark. He actually was awarded by Tony Khan an AEW contract. So congrats to him. He made his debut back in August, and good. That's very good to hear. It made such a great impression on all that. Yeah, that's good. Good for the young man. Awesome. See. Big Swole took on Diamante in a 3 strikes match. So those were your matches, again, for this week's Dark Elevation and AEW Dark. So by now, we know a lot more information about what all had came about in regards to the passing of Daphne. And, if you didn't check out the show I had did from last week, where, it was very eerie. I mean, we had the one show from last Wednesday where I reacted to the news and everything. This was before her passing. This was pretty much me Wednesday night reacting in real time to the information that I was getting and everything. I knew there was a video floating around. I kind of knew the contents of what was going on with the video, but I had no idea it was at the extent that it was until pretty much after I got off the air, and I only skimmed just a couple of seconds, and it was just, to this day, I refuse to watch the full length of the video. But then to do the Thursday show where all we talked about was Daphne, and just reacting that way and everything. Remember the one part from that Thursday show I talked about in regards to the deadbolt. And remember the story I said specifically about, I had tried to get emergency police, fire department. I had tried to get them involved in coming to where I was staying at the time with my mom, because I was staying with my mom for a couple of months during the summer, as I was getting ready to relocate elsewhere and everything. And it was just banging on the door. I'm just banging on the door for, God, I know it was at least maybe an hour or whatever. Definitely a long time. It was longer than 30 minutes. I want to say it was about an hour, maybe a little bit more. And I ended up calling, non-emergency, and they had refused to knock that door down. And that was despite the fact I had told them, look, I know her schedule. We always communicate. This is what's going on. I tried to do a welfare check on her and everything because I couldn't get in because she had the deadbolt on. And they had refused. And the main reason why they had refused to knock the door down, one, because by that being a deadbolt, they knew it was going to take a damn good while to get through, and then the property damage that would be caused as a result. But I had also got the vibe that they were, honestly, they just wanted to be lazy, and I just couldn't help but wonder, okay, if that wasn't PG County, Maryland, and anybody will tell you that's a DC, Maryland, Virginia resident, PG, good luck trying to really get help out there. You pretty much got to be white to really get that good old kind of grade A type of service, right? But luckily, knock on wood, it turned out everything was okay, with her and everything. So it was a deadbolt issue in the case of Daphne, and they had tried everything to get that door down. And like I told you guys on that Thursday show, good luck trying to take a door off the hinges, because unless you've got the hinges on your side, which will make it a lot easier to get that door down, oh, heaven forbid, it's a deadbolt, have a Snickers. You ain't going anywhere for a while. Ultimately, they did get keys, but by then, it pretty much was too late and everything. And she meant what she said when she kept referring to Boston and her brain being researched, so that scientists can try to understand, what was going on and everything. She shot herself in the chest. So you hear that, and, you just go, very heartbreaking when you hear that. And I don't say this as a cliche. I don't say this to sound cool. I don't say this because it's just the right thing to do. No, I've been very consistent about this all year, right down to the point, and it's so sad. It's so sad that we've got motherfuckers that only know how to talk about mental health awareness and all of that whenever somebody dies, whenever somebody of name value dies. We've been here since 2011, and practically every time Mental Health Awareness Month comes around, sensationalized news going on a death or no death, I'm always saying to you guys, hey, mental health, make sure, blah, 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 blah. You need somebody to talk to, blah, 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 blah. And it's real easy for some people, and this is no shot to anybody in particular, so I don't need this misconstrued that way, but it's easy for people to say, oh, you're not alone. You're not alone. Oh, you're not alone. Oh, that's just a figure of speech. Because, oh, when this person took their lives, they were alone. Da, 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 and all this other shit. It's real easy for motherfuckers to say stuff like that when they have no idea whatsoever what it's like to be that person that's struggling with mental illness, with their mental health. And mental health it could be a whole wide range of things. It could be whether you're dealing with financial stress, you are dealing with maybe being a single parent, you got a young baby, and you're a single parent. You are dealing with difficulty and a breakup, a marriage, divorce, what have you. There are different levels of mental stress, right? Some type of an eating disorder. There are different types. And, you could tell somebody until you're blue in the face that, you're not alone and everything, and you're not. But it's a two-way street for that person that's struggling with that. They've got to be the ones to be the bigger person and reach out, before it's too late. And part of it's really all about communicating. It's all about that's how you get the ball rolling. It's all about just communicating how you feel. And, the greatest travesty of it all, here's this beautiful, sweet woman that was so kind. And I shared with you guys the little story I had from, just my early beginnings as a podcaster and everything. And, how nice she was in helping me out and everything. And here's this woman just constantly, just giving back, helping people out. And when it counted the most, she truly felt alone. I'm sure she had a gazillion freaking people she could have easily called, but she was already gone. It's just sad. It's just sad. So my biggest piece of advice, you guys that might be struggling in some form, while you're still sound in mind and you can still, right from wrong, and you're not in that erratic state of mind yet where you've just crossed that one threshold and there ain't no coming back. Please know that there is help that's out there, man. And you don't have to just pick up a damn telephone number and call a suicide hotline. I mean, you can if you want to try to be discreet and you don't want no judgment being passed on you and everything. But, if you know in your heart that there's that one friend that won't pass any judgment on you whatsoever, they are there for you and everything, fucking utilize them. Fucking utilize them, man. Seriously, fucking utilize them. If I can still be here after all this shit that I've personally went through in my life, and over the years, I've only shared just a fraction of some of the shit that's gone down in my personal life. Trust me, I've seen more better days these past handful of years, especially since I've been with my now wife, than more positive days than in my entire life. If I can hang on after all the shit that I've gone through personally, you gotta be optimistic, man. You just gotta be, But one thing that really had stood out to me over the past week was the nice touching tribute that Mick Foley had gave to Daphne. It was a nice editorial piece that he gave. And I would highly encourage you guys, if you didn't go out of your way and check it out, it's not a 2-minute read. At most it's about a 5-minute read. Check it out. Very insightful, and it definitely had got my brain jogging once again, because I almost blanked out on this. And I remembered this as soon as I was reading Mick Foley's article. And Wifey actually mentioned the article to me several days ago. And she knows how much of a big fan I am of the TV series Forensic Files. You guys know how much of a big fan I am of Forensic Files. I've mentioned that show time and time again over the years. Right down to the point, I've told you guys, I cannot get into the new Forensic Files show, Forensic Files 2. I cannot get into it. It's too watered down for me. It really, really is. There's a new show I do like on the sidebar, though. There's a new one I had discovered. I think it's from HLN. It's called Vengeance. And I had watched their Killer's co-worker marathon on Labor Day, in between cooking and just relaxing, enjoying myself. Boy, there's some fucked up stories that they had shared. But there's one episode of Forensic Files I would highly encourage you guys to go out of your way and check out. This does connect to Daphne. There is, or was, a young girl by the name of Vicki Lyons. And that name should sound very, very familiar to you. Vicki Lyons was somebody that Daphne had a hand in training. As this girl was in her late 20s, going into her 30s, she wanted to be a professional wrestler. You know, she had always been a fan of it, and she decided this was something that she wanted to do. And one of the people that took a strong liking to her early on was Daphne. And Daphne had spent so much of her free personal time training this girl. And the very first match that Miss Lyons had was against Daphne. You can actually find this all on social media, the match that they had. But you learn what all happened with Vicki Lyons. Here's something that a lot of people are not really picking up on. That's great that everybody is mentioning this girl, who had this injury and everything. But, here's the big part that they're missing. How did this girl end up with the physical and mental type of stuff that was going on with her? There's an episode of Forensic Files that I would encourage you guys to check out. You are able to watch this episode for free on YouTube. I did confirm this literally hours before I went on the air. Otherwise, Forensic Files is available on Tubi TV, all the seasons, the original series that is. It's available on Tubi TV, which is free to check out. The Tubi app, that's free to check out. You can also check it out on, I said Netflix. It's one other avenue I was thinking of. It's escaping me right now. It'll come to me later on. But Tubi and Netflix, you can check it out. The episode, it'll come to me in a second, the exact name of the episode. But from what I remember of this episode with Vicki Lyons, at this point, she was a young girl, and her mom, single parent, busting her ass at this newspaper distributor warehouse. And there's this one day in particular where she decides, okay, you know what? I don't really want to go into work because the person that's supposed to be babysitting Vicki, they ain't going to be able to make it. So she calls the job, talk to her boss, let them know she's not going to be able to do it. And the boss pretty much tells her, cold-hearted son of a bitch, but he pretty much tells her, look, if you don't come in and do what you're paid to do, don't bother coming back at all. So she does like any other time she would do is, okay, well, I got no choice. I got to take the kid with me. So she takes Vicki with her to the job. Kid just being a kid, not bothering anybody. The boss doesn't like the sight of the kid, and he pretty much tells her, look, go play outside. So mom's is like, yeah, hon, go ahead, go play outside. Mommy, we'll check on you in a little bit. So Vicky's out front of the warehouse, playing around in the dirt or whatever. This fucking asshole guy gets in the fucking car. He's like, I think he was doing a delivery, a drop off or something he was doing. But he backs the fucking truck up and pretty much runs over Vicki. And, he realizes he did something wrong because he actually checks back and everything. And once he realizes he pretty much ran over a kid rather than stay right there at the scene and try to get help for the girl and everything, he pretty much takes off. So Vicki Lyons has, like, for like the first several weeks, maybe like the first month or two, she's got like this fucking tire tread mark that's on her fucking face and everything. And you're like, what the fuck? So an investigation was done, and everybody, early signs from the police, they thought that it was this black guy. I can't remember his name right now. I want to say Haterman, JB Haterman. It was a black guy. They thought he was the one that was responsible because he normally comes, picks up the papers, because he's trying to do deliveries and all that. So they originally thought that he did it. And literally, when you watch this, I'm not pulling the race card, but when you watch this episode, you're going to get upset. Regardless if you're black or white, you're going to get upset because you're like, okay, they tried to pin it on this guy because it's obvious, not only is he black, but he's low intellect. Just based on how he's talking and everything. So you're kind of going, okay, they're trying to do a slam dunk, shut him down case right here. But leave it up to Vicki Lyons' mom to be so diligent and do her own investigative work. And she actually ends up reaching out to this guy that I think used to work for, I don't know if it was like the Ford Motor Company or some shit like that. But he was solely responsible for a lot of the tire designs that, has become a stapleton for today's cars even. And so she reaches out to him, because he's like the fucking Sherlock Holmes of all things tire tread marks and everything. She reaches out to him and everything. She still managed to save photos of the tire tread marks on Vicky's face and all of that. And they were able to figure out that, okay, no, he didn't do it. No. These tires match up to. Great episode. It was a great episode. But man, that girl had suffered some significant physical, mental. There's a whole lot of shit. They ended up, the moms, they ended up settling with the newspaper and all of that for an undisclosed amount of money, because it was obvious, she was going to need medical expenses for her entire life, for the rest of her life. And so, they had settled and everything. I forgot. I want to say they mentioned the amount, but don't quote me on that. But look that story up. It's about 30 minutes, and that will really help you bridge the gap of Vicki Lyons. So to know what was going on there with Vicki Lyons, and then to basically speed it up just a couple of years later where she decides she wants to get involved with pro wrestling, and how she just connects with Daphne. I mean, man, you could almost make an argument that this was kind of like one of those. No, this was destiny that kind of stepped in here and really got things moving to have these two souls meet at the same place at the same time. Every relationship has its respected season, as I like to say on the show over the years. So look that episode up. That was probably one of my, and I'm not just saying that but I always thought that tire treadmark episode, I always thought that was, that's actually one of my favorites. It's actually one of my favorite episodes, right besides the Magic Bullet. That's another Forensic Files episode. I would highly encourage you guys to check out the Magic Bullet. Synopsis for that one, basically, just kind of give you guys the bullet point. A father and son, like they would normally do, they go to this this bullet ranch, where people are able to practice shooting their guns, do a little competition, things of that nature. And man, this fucking bullet, it really was a magic bullet, because while the father was off doing some shit, the son was like 200 yards away or some weird, stupid shit. And somebody fired a bullet, and somehow this bullet just went pa-pang, pang, 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 boom, 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 goes into this fucking office, right? So it's nowhere near where people are shooting and all of that, but somehow this bullet just zigzags, meets its way into the office. I think he was sitting on a chair or whatever, and the bullet fucking gets him and kills him right there on the spot. Look that episode up, Magic Bullet. The Legionnaire's Disease episode, that also was a pretty good one. And Deadly Delivery. Deadly Delivery, that one, there was somebody that was sending these bombs that as soon as you opened it up, just shrapnel would just bam, 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 all over your body and shit. Just instant kill. Like if you were the one that was opening it, instant fucking kill. And trying to figure out who the hell was responsible for. Look those episodes up. Those were exceptionally, good episodes if you're into the whole forensic shit and all that. So, we were talking about Kevin Owens earlier. So you see the stuff going on with his contract. Look, you don't need a podcast. You don't need the websites to tell you, yo, whatever is going on with the people in charge of the contracts and some of the recent shit that's been going on, tighten that shit up, right? It's just common sense. It's just common sense. It's like you really got to tighten this shit up, right? Somebody whose contract is, and look, not for nothing, but as long as I've been on the air, too many times I can recall of stories where wrestlers have said, yeah, WWE had came to me 6-7 months, way before my contract had expired. And, usually they're on top. But, I mean, man, that type of slacking, especially during the whole pandemic. I know everybody is just at the idea, foaming at the mouth of Kevin Owens going to AEW. Yo, pump the brakes. Pump the brakes on that. Pump the brakes on that. Let's just get through the rest of this year first, and let's just see what's going to happen. That's all I got to say. Supposedly his contract is going to be up in January. It's kind of odd because his contract, he had made mention, what was it, like sometime in 2018 that he had signed a 5-year deal or whatever. But, now you're hearing that the contract is supposed to be up for renewal, or actually is going to expire in January of 2022. I don't even want to entertain. Look, have I been liking what's been going on with Kevin Owens as of late? No, not really. But, at the same time, let's not forget Kevin Owens passionately. WWE is a place that he has been fighting hard practically his entire career to get to. So is he really going to be that? You feel where I'm coming from? So let's just wait and see how things pan out. Seriously, let's wait and see how things pan out. Another wrestling related tip I want to pass along to you guys. It looks like the New York criminal court system, they've reportedly ordered that the criminal records in the death of independent wrestler Matt Travis be sealed. That name should sound familiar to you guys because this guy was killed after he was struck by a dump truck that had illegally made a U-turn. We kind of talked about this a little bit, and shout out to DT because DT had shined a lot of light because this was pretty much on his home turf, and he knows very well the area that's in question. He was able to give a lot of great insight that most reports, even out there in New York, had missed. I'll actually try to see if I can find a link to that episode, or maybe I'll reach out to him and kind of let him know I mentioned him, and maybe he can provide a link to that exact episode and everything. That driver that's in question that did the whole illegal turn that ended up taking the life there of Travis, his driver's license was revoked for 6 months, which I will tell anybody till the day I die that I think once because this is where I'm coming from as a driver myself. You learn so much when you are taking driver's ed classes. You learn so much when, not just with the driver's ed when you're behind the wheel, but like in the classes themselves. You learn so much about the importance of safety, your safety, minding your surroundings, You know, you're not just driving for yourself, but you're driving for everybody else in the road, and you got to do everything in your power to try to be a responsible driver and everything. But I've always had the belief that if you're a driver and you take somebody's life, knowing full well that you know you ain't supposed to be drinking, you know damn well you ain't supposed to be doing this illegal turn, you know damn well you ain't supposed to be running this red light, you know, and yet you do this bullshit anyway. You break the laws anyway. And you're very mindful what's going on. I've always believed that if you commit a crime, in the end result, you've taken a life, that's it. You can't drive anymore. Fuck whatever state you go to in the U.S., you're fucked. That's it. You can't drive ever again. That's it. So this whole idea of taking a life and your license is revoked for 6 months, give me a fucking break on that. I think that's just the biggest load of fucking bullshit. And then they get hit with a $250 fine. Nah, man, nah. Fuck that. That's some fucking bullshit. So, but apparently the record, you know, it's now going to be sealed. Supposedly the records are going to be sealed on September 30th, as reportedly it was ordered to be sealed on September 3rd. So, you know, take that for what it's worth. I'm looking forward to seeing what AEW Dynamite does in the ratings for this week, by the way. Last week they did about 1,047,000. Post AEW Fallout, I'm going to say they do about 1.2 million. I'm willing to go that high. I'll say 1.2 million. They should definitely be in the million range again, though. Definitely. They should be in the $1 million range. We were talking about Rampage earlier. Real quick, this may put a smile on some of you all's faces. I don't know. But for those of you that were kind of like me, after Friday's Rampage was over and you actually had stuck around and you were watching the countdown to All Out, that little 30-minute special, you'll be happy to know this. That special actually did about 361,000 viewers. So not too shabby. That's not too shabby. So think about that. They did almost 700,000 for Rampage, and pretty much out of that 700,000, 300,000 stuck around, over 300,000 stuck around to check out that 30-minute little prelude to All Out. Kind of cool. Kind of fucking cool. Congrats to Booker T. Booker T's promotion, his Reality of Wrestling promotion. They signed a new TV deal, and as a result, this new TV deal is going to see them expand nationwide to 50 markets. So they've got partners now in the CW, ABC, Roku, Right Now TV. So, you know, pretty soon you guys are going to be able to check out Reality of Wrestling. So that's pretty badass. I mean, it's already, you know, I think Booker T and them, they do a pretty good job as it is, making episodes be available on YouTube and things of that nature. But to now pretty much have it in a way where, you know, it'll be available on those respected outlets. So now it's just a matter of checking your local listings to see if it's going to even be carried. That's pretty good. Fucking coming along. I mean, that's pretty good. So congrats to Booker T for that. That's pretty fucking good. All right. Let's get into the main meat and potatoes of tonight, and then we'll pretty much wrap it up here. By the way, if you guys got any wrestling related questions, or you got some wrestling related comments, now's the time. Get your shit in, all right, before we get ready to wrap it up for tonight. But nice show I think we've been doing tonight. Honestly, by the way, nice good flow that it's had to it. By the way, shout out to those of you that did the Raw poll. Let me get to those polls real quick too. I don't want you guys feeling left out. I did poll you guys asking what did you think about Monday's Raw. Let me just go back real quick here. Looking at the polling results for Twitter, and Yeah, 67% of you gave Raw this week a thumbs down. Meanwhile, 33% of you gave it a thumbs up. Meanwhile, for those of you on YouTube Communities tab at the RCWR show, 90% of you gave it a thumbs down. Meanwhile, 10% of you gave it a thumbs up. Look, it was a so-so episode. I remember I was watching, bits and pieces, and I got to tell you, look, I like the whole concept about, just real quickly, it's not a full Raw recap. I just, like 2 minutes tops, guys, and then we'll go into the main joint about Kenny Omega and all that for PWI 500. But for me, I thought the initial concept was good, that they were doing this whole tag team tournament. And, you're like, oh, okay, so we're pretty much going to be centered all around this. Okay, cool. All right, I can kind of get with this. But the fact that we're cramming this and we got the Extreme Rules pay-per-view coming up, like, 2.5 weeks or some shit, I just kind of feel like, you really should have been doing this last week. Got the ball rolling last week then, right? So, that for me was just kind of, The idea that Bobby Lashley could be a double champion, I find that intriguing. I find that to be very intriguing, yet at the same time, I can't help but wonder, where does the Goldberg factor come into play? Is it just going to be strictly in Saudi Arabia here, or we're going to be getting Goldberg a lot sooner than later? Because Goldberg's let it be known he's on a mission. He don't care about no championships. He just simply wants to end Bobby Lashley, right? So you got that whole little element that's going on there. The pairing of Nikki Ash, Rhea Ripley, that continues to intrigue me. It really does. I'm trying to understand in storyline, why is Rhea taking a somewhat awkward liking to Nikki Ash, and then I still feel there's something evil happening beneath the surface there with Nikki Ash. I still feel that way. We're really moving forward here, it seems, with the ultimate breakup in Shayna Baszler, Nia Jax, which I'm totally down for because I want to see the back to basics Shayna Baszler. I want to see the NXT Shayna Baszler. They're taking no prisoners. You're going to snap or you're going to tap Shayna Baszler. That's the one I miss. So, to see what's been going on with that, pretty good. Flipper. Get the fuck off my TV already. I'm tired of fucking Flipper. Yeah, but, it's kind of one of those episodes, honestly, in a nutshell. If you didn't watch it, you were good. You honestly were good. You didn't miss anything. You honestly did not miss anything. If you spent that time getting your eat on with friends and family, enjoying nice weather, you ain't miss anything. You forgot to record it on your DVR, you good. You good. You didn't miss anything. So, honestly, that was one of those episodes I just said, I got to be honest with you. It was one of those episodes, once I saw it, I actually watched it all in its entirety. It was one of those episodes where I said, how the fuck are you supposed to talk about this show for about 30 minutes when so little happened? And it made me happy I was not on the air that night. Straight up, y'all. Straight up. All right, so one last thing we can get into, and then we'll get up out of here. So it's been revealed that this year's PWI 500 number one, the number one male out of everybody, 500, Kenny Omega. He's got the number one spot. Now, if you're keeping tabs, this makes the second year in a row that an AEW guy has taken the number one spot for PWI 500. Now, they tried to mention this whole criteria where
Well, from July 20th until June 20th, 2021, we were looking at what all the wrestlers were doing within this time period.
Okay. Granted. Duly noted. It's got a lot of people talking. It's got a lot of people talking. A lot of people are very divided on this. There's a lot of people that feel Roman Reigns should have been number one. And I totally understand that. I'm not choosing sides here. I mean, for the record, you're asking me straight up, Lee. Yeah, about that, dog. About that list. What do you make of that, homie? Look. Kenny Omega was definitely the belt collector. And just some of the matches that he was having with folks during that time period, pretty damn good. No doubt about that. Pretty damn good. But if you want to pick my brain as far as just overall who was more entertaining of a champion during that particular period that they're talking about, I got to give it up to Roman Reigns. I got to be consistent here too, man. Just like I had touched upon during the AwesomeCon panel, and as I told the folks in attendance, I said, this has been some of the absolute best work we've seen of Roman Reigns, and it sucks that it took a pandemic to really get this type of Roman Reigns that we've been getting, because this man has just, I mean, it's his best work of his career, period. You know, and then we had, you know, a few people that were actually trying to make an argument of, well, who the hell has Roman Reigns gotten over? You know, who the hell has Roman Reigns help get over since he's been champion compared to Kenny Omega? And, you know, I mean, if you really kind of want to be technical, it's a tie between the two, honestly. We can squash that right now. It's really a tie. I think what this just really boils down to is, you know, I can see, I don't like it, but I can see how Kenny Omega would get the edge for the PWI people. First of all, PWI, I remember there was a time where I used to collect PWI religiously. I remember in the 2000s when I was doing early 2000s, like right at the start of the 2000s, I remember being a security guard in Northwest Washington, and there was a Ma and Pa newsstand joint, and I had such a great rapport with them. They would put, because they knew I loved all things wrestling, they would put a bunch of wrestling stuff to the side for me, and they would normally give me first crack before they even put it up on the newsstands. And PWI was definitely one of those magazines I stayed having as pretty much my subscription, right? And the way these guys had operated the Ma and Pa store, they were pretty badass, because it was kind of one of those, put it on my tab. You know, if they fucked with you like that, literally you could, we'll put it on my tab. You know, it was one of those type of deals. And PWI back then in the early 2000s, very reputable. It was like the holy grail. If you were a pro wrestling fan, you called yourself a pro wrestling fan, you had to been picking up Pro Wrestling Illustrated. If you were not picking up Pro Wrestling Illustrated, like, you really were not a fan. Especially if you wanted to know, like, what all was going on the independents and things of that nature. We're talking about a time period here where, you know, before YouTube really blew up, you know, before the whole podcasting game had really changed forever, where anybody and everybody could pretty much, right, when you're trying to get as much information as you can about what's going on with some of your favorite wrestlers that, you know, maybe you saw at your local indie promotion or whatever, you know, PWI was the magazine that you would pick up and be like, okay, who's who do I need to be watching out for, Who do I need to be talking to my friends about, trying to see if I can get some tapes on them and shit. PWI was very, very fucking instrumental in helping you really, as an overall wrestling fan, really broaden your horizons out more. What it's become, particularly in the past 5 to 7 years, maybe almost even 10 years, some would argue, it's been kind of one of those, call it for what it is, right? One of them kiss up type of joints. So I really would kind of, we got to understand something. These lists that they make out, no different than what's been going on with the WWE and shit. Let's give them something to talk about. I can't believe I've been quoting that Bonnie Raitt song whole fucking week here, but we're going to have to put that on a damn t-shirt soon, right? It's going to have to be a new t-shirt design. But it gets people talking like it is right now. It's got people in a frenzy, and it's got them wondering, I think when it really gets down to the heart of the matter, I think ultimately the only opinion that should matter and really matter is the fans that are making their rounds, checking out what's going on with all of these wrestling promotions. I think those are the opinions that really matter the most. When you're talking about the guys at PWI, look, I respect the hustle. I respect the game by PWI. And look, full disclosure, these guys are actually following me on Twitter. I don't know what the hell I did to make these guys follow me, some years back, because I'm not following them. I don't know, okay? But I don't know, maybe I shared a cover of like a past PWI and they like that, and I don't know, you got me. But even I'll call it for what it is, and it's like, look, when you understand the whole process and how they go about the whole voting selection, it's a circle of guys, basically. As far as I know, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, fans are not incorporated in any way with this shit. There is no as voted by the fans. I mean, at least with the Meltzer polls, at least the fans are incorporated in that, right? So, first of all, and let's be honest, most of the people that's mouthing off about what's going on with this PWI 500 probably most likely have never even picked up an issue of PWI. They're just strictly reacting to who's number one, okay, and who's number two. And they're just pretty much going off of that, having never probably even heard of these guys, don't even know the criteria that they're, and all of that. You shouldn't need a magazine to, you feel where I'm coming from? It's no different, y'all, than having somebody tell you what movie is good, what movie you should come out of your pocket and check out, what movie is a thumbs up, what movie is a thumbs down. Don't get me wrong. Shout out to Siskel and Ebert. Oh, I love those guys. Oh, when I was a kid growing up in Chicago and I wanted to know old things about fucking movies, what was popping and everything, my God, those guys were like my fucking Bible, right? But then as I got older, it's kind of like, I can form my own opinion, right? I can be my own judge of character. Let me decide, right? I've got my friends too. We'll all decide. And I mean, look, not for nothing, but when you start holding people, well, this person said, and this person said, you can miss out on some really good hidden gems. You really, 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 really could. I'll give you a perfect example. This isn't long-winded either. I'm done in like 30 seconds. There was a Eddie Murphy movie that came out some years back. Was it Mr. Church or Mr. Churchill? Something Mr. Church, where he played this this black not a chauffeur, but he was kind of like this personal aide, and he was taking care of this woman who was gravely ill at the request of, I guess, her former husband or whatever. And pretty much the terms, the conditions of it, he pretty much would take care of the daughter, oversee the daughter, make sure the mom was as comfortable as possible, until Moms died. Well, Moms did ultimately die, and you would have thought that for Eddie Murphy's character, that's it. Like, the mom's dead, now the daughter can pretty much just go to the next of kin or whatever. But that's not what ended up happening. Eddie Murphy actually ended up taking care of that girl well into her adulthood when she began going to college and a whole bunch of other stuff that I won't spoil for you guys that never saw the movie. One thing about that movie, and the reason why I bring it up, I remember there was a lot of negative reviews about that movie. Now, it was always on my bucket list to watch within recent years, but somehow it always just, right? And then when I finally did watch it, and I kind of kept in mind some of the reviews that were floating around, but when I finally did watch it, I felt, wow, well, the so-called critics and other people that were saying whatever they were saying negatively about this movie, way off the mark. They got this shit wrong. This movie's actually pretty damn good. What the fuck? So that's my whole point. If we're gonna start holding some of these magazines as like, this is right, we just got to remember at the end of the day, these are nothing more than opinions. And sometimes, look, not for nothing, past 2 years now, their number one guys have been AEW guys. Okay? So you kind of got to look at all of those things, and your conclusion, that's totally up for you guys to decide. But you just got to remember, okay, their opinion really doesn't matter anything, especially if they're not including the fans as a vote. What should ultimately matter is what you think, what you've been seeing that's been going around with all of these promotions and everything. It was kind of refreshing to see some people comment and say, hey, look, I don't even like WWE like that, but I watch all the promotions, and even I can tell you, nah, man, Roman Reigns, he's the fucking... Some people brought up very valid points about Roman, saying, look, WWE has continued to stay cash flow positive, and this guy has been at the core as one of their key champions. Look at this whole domino effect that's pretty much been happening. Hey, look, he's become their ultimate bona fide star. Everything that's been going on with him in this past year. Hey, look at the great matchups that he has had, yada, yada, yada. So, there's been a lot of very good, valid points for Roman Reigns, and then when you look at Kenny Omega, look, I think it's great that Kenny Omega has been able to go wrestle for various promotions. And yeah, he's had some pretty damn good matches, without a shadow of a doubt. Nobody's not disputing that. As far as what he's been doing on the independents there, nobody is disputing that. Whole belt collector stuff and all, nobody's disputing that whatsoever. But if you want to talk about the Kenny Omega character as a whole, you'd be really lying to yourself if you were to say, oh, perfect, the character. No, the character, it took many months to really flush out that Kenny Omega character, and we're just now getting to a point where, all right, now he's really finding his footing here, and yeah, actually he's kind of decent. He's kind of decent here as an on-air personality. But you still would prefer Don Callis do most of the talking for him and everything. Not to mention this, if we're going to look at the numbers, right? If we want to mention analytics and all this other stuff, right? This is why you got to look at guys like PW Insider. You just got to be like, I don't know about that, dog, right? I don't know if I really want to. Because since Kenny Omega has been the champion, are we paying attention to the ratings for Dynamite? Have we also factored in the ratings for Impact? Because like you also got to include, like, you can't cherry pick and just be like, you got to make sure that full context. And I wouldn't be surprised if most fans are kind of thinking that way, and they're really truly looking at the overall whole picture. And when it's all said and done, you may not like this answer. There's no right, there's no wrong answer. Because for every pro argument you can make for Roman Reigns, there's a con argument. Same thing that can go for Kenny Omega. But my bottom line to you guys at the end of the day, don't fall for that bait and switch, man. Hook, line, sinker. Don't fall for that shit. You know, these guys with their magazines and all that, like, this is what they want, and for some of them, if they want to keep getting those exclusive interviews, things of that nature. Look, I know how it goes. You're talking to somebody that has worked a couple of times for different wrestling sites. Hell, I'm working for one right now. And, there is a game at some point that needs to be played and needs to be scratched. One of the main things I love about working for the guys over there at 411 Mania, and that I've respected about them for many, many years, they try to be as unbiased and neutral as humanly possible, and they aren't looking to, the fluff little joints and oh well, we gotta stay face if we ever want to do good business with AEW or WWE or whereas other sites, others you can tell who's greatly influenced and they gotta play the game. They gotta play the game if they want to keep getting those exclusives and shit like that, and that includes some of those magazines like PWI that's out there and everything. So pay the list no mind. It's just giving people something to talk about. Only opinion that matters the most is your opinion, as you're the one that's out there. You're watching the product on a regular basis. You dig? FYI. So other than that, oh wow, we did about 2 hours, 30 minutes of a show. That's pretty good. Yeah, nice little lengthy show for you guys. So I'm gonna say let's stick a fork in it. Let's call this show DONE done. And by the way, that's all we know right now of that list. I want to know who was the full top 10. I did try looking up to see if I can find the full top 10. I couldn't find anything. So when more names trickle down, I will definitely go over the rest of that list there. One thing I thought was kind of hilarious, though, we're talking about this particular time period. Again, let me pull that time period up once again. What I say there, what was it, like July of last year until June of this year, right? I find it kind of hilarious that Braun Strowman missed half of that year, and he somehow ended up on the list. Off the break, I can't help but go, well, wait a minute here. If we're really going to talk about, number one guy, like if you're asking me straight up, just everything that I've seen so far, I'm kind of going, okay, if I had to round off the list, my list personally, this is my list. Y'all list can be totally different. My list can be up for debate. My number one would be Roman Reigns. My number two would be Walter. My number three, my number three is a toss-up. But I'm going to give him the edge. My number three would be Omega. My number four would be Nick Aldis. My number five, I'm trying to see if I can get up to 10 without. My number five would be Jon Moxley. My number six. Oh shit. Actually, hold up. Let's do that list over. My number one would be Roman Reigns. My number two would be Bobby Lashley. My number three would be Walter. My number four would be Kenny Omega. My number five would be Nick Aldis. My number six would be Jon Moxley. My number seven would be... that's a tough one. That's a tough one right there. My number 7. Top 10 lists. Everything that I've seen from that particular period until June of this year. My number 7 would be... Fuck, I'll give it to him. My number 7 would be MJF. My number 8 would be... I've always been consistent with them, but I'll give them their due. I'll give them their due, and they'll probably like this. My number 8 would be the Bucks. My number 8 would be the Bucks. My number 9 would be... My number 9 would be... I'll give it to him. My number 9 would be Karrion Kross. And my number 10 would be... That's a tricky one. Number 10. I don't know, guys. I'm a little stuck on that one. I don't know who my number 10 would be. I'm thinking, but there's no name that kind of... Actually, you know what? For the influence, the impact, the way that he pretty much got the domino rolling and everything, yeah, I could see people talking about it too, but when you really kind of lay it out the way I'm laying it out, I think people will probably understand him being at number 10. I actually would put MVP at number 10. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know what you think about that list. I'm most curious, just off the break from that time period till now. I'm curious if you guys would agree with that list, or if there's something you would change about that list, or let me know your own top 10 list. I think that'd be a really nice, good way to get people talking. So those of you that's going to be checking this out on demand and you made it up to this point, definitely leave your comments. And then actually what I'll do Thursday afternoon while I'm making my way to work, because I'll be on the road, but in between I'll actually put up a little poll asking you guys, and I'll definitely give you an option where you can type in your respected name/list, and we can pretty much kind of go from there. And we should follow up on this for sure. I think we got something here. Let's definitely follow up on this, and hopefully we can gather enough info, and we can pretty much go into Monday's show and react off of our own top 10 list here. And I think by then we're definitely going to know. I wouldn't be surprised if before this weekend we have a better idea who were the top 10 going forward and everything. Quick programming note, there is going to be a new edition of Wrestling with the Topics. Myself and the wifey, we will be dropping that for you guys. So if you haven't done so already, do consider being a Patreon member of ours. Patreon.com/RCWR show. Check out bonus audio, video content you won't be able to find anywhere else. Shout out to our Patreon members as well. You guys know exactly who you are. Much love to you guys, as always. And other than the Patreon content we're going to be doing, that's pretty much going to be it. I'm going to be enjoying the rest of the week off and everything. Shout out to those of you that support the show. You guys know exactly who you are. Love you guys tremendously as always. Shout out to our sponsors as well. And as we make our exit, again, your superpower, you got it. Hit that like button. When you do that, man, you put more eyeballs on our product, help make us more discoverable. Also, shout out to those of you I've seen that's recently been leaving rating and reviews for the show in iTunes. I appreciate that. That's another way you can help out as well. It means a whole lot when I see you beautiful people do awesome, cool stuff like that. So thanks a ton. And that is going to do it. So until next go round, always get at me on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Use keywords, the RCWR show. I'm wishing all of you all to be safe and most importantly, be kind to one another. I will see you all next go round, my friends. Take care. By the way, real quick, for you comic book lovers out there, throw at me a couple of names. Whether you leave a comment or you get at me on social media, let me some comments on some comics you think I should check out. I mean, I'm always interested in reading something that's got some really good story to it. I do care about artwork as well. Give me some recommendations on social media. I'm most curious. This is kind of my way of seeing who's paying attention to, for that matter. So if you got a name of a series you want to recommend, throw it at me throughout social media or leave a comment, because I am kind of getting the itch to pick up some more stuff. I've already got a ton of stuff I got to read, but I'm kind of one of those, once I start reading, I'm done in just usually in a day or two. So keep me always ahead. I like staying ahead. So throw some stuff at me. All right, guys. Much love. Peace.